Hi there. In this video we'll learn about contract changes and change orders. We'll know the reasons for such changes and the types of construction changes and the process to initiate and approve contract changes. So whatever you do in construction, whatever effort you put into design and putting everything in the perfect condition and perfect arrangements before the construction starts, you will end up with changes. Change is part of the construction business and project management. The way you handle the change is different and depends on the project delivery method you use. And also changes come with different kind of magnitude. So there are small changes and big changes. Small can be like change in color, some little discrepancy and you need to fix that, or you can have big changes of adding or deleting scope of work, or changing completely the systems being used. So it's changes can come in different shapes, different colors, different sizes. The way you manage it is the key. The changes and how you manage the changes in design bid build following the AIA contracts is based on two main assumptions. First, that the contractor has to perform the work change. So if there's a change, you can say, all right, I quit, I'm going away. If you sign a contract, you sign with it kind of a consent that if changes happen, I will commit to do these changes. But in return, the owner is also expected to fairly compensate the contractor for all additional work. So that's mutual understanding here, is you will not, as a contractor, will not drop the ball in the middle of the project because you don't like the changes. And also the owner will pay you fairly for doing this changed work or additional work that's being asked. But in the best scenario for the owner's sake, it's always better to minimize changes. Why is that? I'll let you to reflect on this question and we'll discuss in class when we meet. What are the reasons for changes? There are 5. The first one is directive change, which is coming from the owner. Everything is fine, but then the owner, he will want for some reason to add or delete some work. And like we said, the owner has this right from the contract. So for extra work, the owner needs to negotiate with the contractor on how they're going to get paid for this work. If they are deleting work, they're deducting work from the contract based on the AIA document. So contracts and documents are different from project to project. But the understanding here is that the contractor will be paid the cost of the work, not the value. So for example here, if there is a change order that canceled the work that had a value in the contract of 110K, the architect will do some assessment and estimate of the overhead of the contractor, or the markup, to be 10%. So based on that, if I say 10% of the 110K is markup, I will not give you the markup, but I will give you the cost of that value, which if you do the calcs here, it will be 100K. So the contractor will be paid this amount. This is based on AIA, but there are different legal interpretation of that or kind of assessment. But that's, again, we're doing this based on design bid build following the AIA general conditions. The second reason is constructive change. So it's a change that comes because of the failure of the owner of the architect and some contractual responsibility, and then the contractor here is asking for the change to recoup out of this losses that comes with that. So examples, I'm listing here some examples, but it's all things related to design information or change in the construction requirements that will change the construction method. So for example here, this contractor here was planning to use a hydraulic excavator that's kind of a track, kind of based on tracks, like war tanks, so they're moving on tracks, not wheels. The owner came and was afraid of the beautiful pavement to be damaged, so they asked for rubber tire backhoe, not that heavy excavator, which was not part of the general conditions. So now the contractor needs to change the equipment, and they now have the equipment, so there's some additional effort and burden. So now this is constructive change. An information that was not shared earlier, or a change information that was shared earlier, that will trigger a change order or constructive change by the contractor. The next reason here is differing site conditions. So the technical report didn't reveal a pocket of soil that has different characteristics, or something concealed. So the contractor found out such different site conditions. So it's very common in projects, that what we call the brownfield projects, not greenfield projects. And if found, the contractor will have the right to inform the architect and the owner, and that will trigger a change. But of course, the architect here will evaluate for the need for change and the fair amount for change. So you can see here, based on AIA document, the architect has a very central role in being kind of a judge, or kind of a evaluator for the changes that happen. The next reason is revisions includes and changes. Remember, the permit was only kind of, when you get a building permit, it has a validity window. You have to start construction based on that. If you are delayed, then you will have to follow whatever changes include that comes up during this time. So in this case, the contractor will have the right for changes. Product substitution. So product substitution here comes from the contractor, kind of a way to show better value for the owner to replace a product or equipment that will be installed in the building. In most cases, it comes because the contractor want to win by accelerating the schedule, because the material or this product is not available. But at the same time, they try to provide another win to the owner by giving them a cheaper alternative or substitution. These are the reasons. Now, how you proceed with change in a legal term, or based on the contract documents here, there are three ways you can proceed with changes. The first one is a minor change order. So minor here refers that the change is minor, and it will be kind of a little easier documentation to justify this change. So, for example, moving a door from one location to another, but without changing the type of the door, without impacting any other system or electrical conduits or anything. So in this case, it's minor, just changing the location. Maybe it's minor for the architect, but for the contractor, maybe it will disrupt their operation. So it's again subject to the contractor opinion. If it's minor, they will approve it as a minor change order, and it will be a simple form. But generally, it's advisable for contractors to document changes as a change order, not a minor change order, because change order is a stronger contractual documentation of the changes. So change order is much better than minor change order. And there are a lot of information that you need to document in the change order related to the description of the change, the change in the price and the time, any extension in the schedule, and all the approvals needed for that. And change orders are needed so you can process payments. So in part of the payment app form, G702, 703, it depends on if there are any changes that happen during the last period of the contract, or since the start of the contract even. So this is just a sample here of a change order. You can see here that the cost information, the net change here is 0. The contract doesn't change in value, but they still went with documenting the change using this change order form, kind of to document legally that this change is part of the project scope now. This form here is called G701. It's also published by AIA, and I will leave you to check this tutorial by level set to learn more about this form and how to fill it. One thing we need to pay attention to is in unit prices. So in unit prices, when the quantity of the work is less than 25% of the amount that's listed in the bid, the change order is issued to revise the quantity and the contract sum, but the unit prices don't change. But if the change in the quantity is so severe, so it's more than 25% change from the bid quantities, then the change order will actually change the quantity, the unit price, and update the contract sum. So it's a more severe change here because the quantity change is really big. And before moving to the next here, so think here, what would be the reason for such difference? Why a big change in quantities will allow the contractor, or will trigger the need to change the fixed unit price, because now it's not fixed, it has to be changed to reflect that huge delta in the quantity. So we'll discuss that also in class. If the owner wants to add a completely new item in the unit price, remember the unit price contracts, they depend on the scheduled values, and every item in the scheduled values is listed in the bid. But if they want to add a new item, let's say they add a furniture that was not in part of the bid, then they need to have a change order, of course, for that, agreeing on a unit price and updating the contract sum. The last type of change here, as mentioned in the AIA documents, is called the CCD, Construction Change Directive, and it's kind of an order by the owner and architect for the contractor to do the work, because there is some kind of disagreement on how the work will be compensated. So remember the expectation that the contractors will have to do any work change. So that's coming based on that expectation, is you're documenting the need that there is this change work need to be done anyway, and then the premise here is that we'll come back and revisit the need to compensate the contractor. But after that, the idea is after the work is done, the contractor will negotiate with the owner on how they're going to be paid, and that will be naturally evolving now from a CCD to a CO, from a directive, construction change directive, to a change order. And that's another form here for construction change directive. One thing, this box here is important because it's boxed, because the contractor, once they sign here, that form will trigger the need to file for a formal change order form. So it's the G701 form will be needed after that. But to do the work, you don't need the contractor signature here, because the contractor signature means that they approve whatever numbers and proposal proposed by the contractor. Now, who is responsible for managing change orders? In design bid build, it's the architect, because the owner kind of delegates that responsibility to the architect. And CM at risk, or professional CM, it's the CM itself. In design bid build, it's the owner representative or consultant. So we'll learn about that when we cover design build delivery method. But the idea here, anybody can initiate a change. You can, even as a subcontractor, you can initiate a change by a proposal, change order proposal, which is evaluated by the GC, and then the GC then proposes that change to the architect and the owner. So to summarize here, what's the process for contract changes? So you start with, do we agree on a change order? Is everyone fine with the scope and the payments? If everyone agrees, then the architect prepares the change order, or in this case, they can also ask the GC to do that. The architect approves it, the owner approves it and signs it, everyone signs, that's part of the contract now, and it's included in the payment application process after that. Let's say people disagree on the payments and the value of this change. So now the architect prepares a constructive change directive. So now they're giving order to the contractor to do the work. The owner signs that, so they authorize this work, and then it's up to the contractor to sign. If the contractor signs, if remember this boxed area in the form, that will right away trigger the need to move into a change order. If they don't do it, then they are required to do the work. If they do the work and then share kind of the bills and receipts and show this is what it cost me, please pay me, the owner and the architect agree, this will end up with a change order. So again, everything converges to a change order because this is the official finalized way to document a change in the work contractually. Let's say now things really go south and contractor doesn't perform the work, they smash the door behind them, I'm not happy with that, heck with you, then this is a dispute. If the owner, even though contractor does the work and the owner don't like the bills that are coming in front of them, this will be a dispute, and that can be a claim, and things really can have escalate very quickly from here. So that's kind of a good summary of how changes happen in contracts. Your goal is to document this change with their impact on the value of the contract and the schedule, because that will be part of the contract for moving on. That will impact how your payments are being prepared and everything after that. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. Take care. I will see you in future videos.